In Oregon, this is NBC 16 News at 5:30.
The Thurston protest that sparked controversy will soon get an outside review. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Jacqueline Mazer. Now, we spoke with Springfield Mayor Christine Lundberg today, who says that plan will go through as soon as the appropriate person is found for the job. This as calls continue for changes in law enforcement and the community. Angelina Dixon reports tonight.
Many questions stem from the many protests that we've had here in Oregon, but one particular protest in Thurston recently has a whole list of questions that we're hoping the mayor can clear up. This is the footage from the protest in Thurston last week. Protesters are concerned with this particular scene. Police officers are seen getting this man in handcuffs. But how they're doing it is what has sparked calls for review. Springfield Mayor Christine Lundberg said Thursday the situation will be under investigation soon. And as for unrest that comes with protests lately in general, she wants to come up with solutions that recognize everyone.
Because if the goal for everyone is that we have a community that we all want to live in, and that we are going to be in a community that's welcoming and that is accepting of each other, then we have to put that fear and anger aside.
Right now, the mayor and city manager are searching for an expert in use of force to conduct a formal investigation during the moments when a man was seen dragged from the crowd in Thurston and placed under arrest. But protesters like Sarah say this man did nothing wrong.
They arrested him and they also assaulted him after he was on the ground, and that's all on video. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't resisting arrest. The only resisting arrest that was happening was protesters kind of went into defense mode, and we're scared for him. We're scared for his life.
The mayor says a blue ribbon panel is being formed that won't just look at police practicing, but how issues are looked at as an entire city. She says this would be a panel that requires everyone to come together and talk. In Springfield, I'm Angelina Dixon reporting.
All right, thanks for that report, Angelina. Now, we also spoke with Springfield Police Chief Richard Lewis about what happened at the protest. You can see his interview tomorrow morning on NBC 16 News at 6. Well, in Eugene, we are hearing more from Isaiah Wagner, the Black Lives Matter protester hit by a car during a peaceful protest. Yesterday, we learned a grand jury was found. There wasn't enough evidence to charge the driver in the case. Our Lauren Negretti joins us live in the studio after speaking with Wagner. Lauren.
Jacqueline, those grand jury proceedings began July 24th, considering several charges, including attempted murder, assault, and reckless driving. Isaiah Wagner says it's a slap in the face to not even have that reckless driving charge.
Physically, he's doing better with therapy, but Isaiah Wagner says his mental health needs healing in dealing with what's happened.
This is why we march. This is why we say and we feel and we know Black Lives Matter.
Prosecutors explained Waleri's statement of events Wednesday night.
He saw what he believed to be a clear path to take an illegal left.
Prosecutor Perosa says Waleri's account was that Wagner ran into his passenger side mirror. It was on the right side, but the contact is disputed.
The only people that will fully know the truth is myself, Travis Waleri, and God. And Travis knows that he looked me dead in the eye, intentionally flipped me off, and drove as fast as he possibly could.
Wagner says at this time he regrets moving out of the way.
I wish I would have stood there, because then maybe I'll have justice. But then I won't be sitting here to talk to you.
Prosecutors say the grand jury saw photos, medical records, and vehicle evidence. 13 witnesses, including Wagner and 5 officers, testified before the grand jury essentially said there wasn't sufficient evidence for charges. Perosa says Wagner won't be able to appeal the grand jury decision, and
unless we get some new material information that was not available to us in that, we're not going to be allowed to reinitiate the case.
Perosa says Eugene police can potentially issue a citation for the illegal left turn. Wagner says this case and past activity at protests sets a precedent.
The man runs me down, hits me, gets away with it.
He's hoping to gather support for change, taking aim at a political office.
I'm running for this up-and-coming election for mayor. I decided to do it.
Wagner is also on the city's newly formed police reform task force. He plans to file a civil lawsuit. Now, prosecutors say while he wasn't entitled to medical compensation through criminal restitution, he can pursue economic loss, among other things, in a civil case.
All right, thanks for that update tonight, Lauren. Appreciate it. Well, Portland police declared a riot at their East Precinct overnight. Police say they were hit with rocks, fireworks, and paint balloons. State troopers moved protesters down the street away from the building, but say the group came back multiple times, eventually trying to set a fire to and barricade the building. Police say 8 people were arrested. All right, well, let's take a first look at weather. Alan Matthews joins us now in the Weather Center. Hey, Alan.
Hey, good evening, Jacqueline. We did get the rain today, and temperatures are actually a bit on the cool side. In fact, I believe we forecast 77 is our high today, and right now we're only at 73 in Eugene. Still seeing a lot of cloud cover out there. Winds are fairly calm, and our humidity at 41%. Now, we were talking about the fire potential earlier on in the evening, and Douglas County did drop theirs down to moderate, and actually Coos County also dropping theirs down to moderate. It still is in the high category for both Lynn and Lane County, and I'm sure this weekend we'll bump it back up again for Douglas and Coos County. We look at our radar satellite. Clearing sky on the coast. It's just all a matter of time before we see skies clear out in our area. And as far as your power planner is concerned, well, this kind of bears this out. We'll be looking at a clearing sky tonight. Should be seeing plenty of sunshine tomorrow with warmer temperatures. We'll give you the weekend details with our full forecast a little later on. Jacqueline?
All right. Thank you, Alan. Well, the Eugene 4J School District started special sessions to answer questions about fall plans. All students will be online only for fall trimester, and what happens after that will depend on how the pandemic has played out. 4J does have a hybrid plan of 1 week on-site and 1 week at-home learning. Then there's the all-online option with Eugene Online Academy. Spokesperson Carrie Delph says there's a new focus this year to make sure students and their parents know how to hit the books from the computers.
One thing that we'll look to provide is better training and information for parents about how to access the online learning tools, how to understand the systems that their students are using and connect with their teachers, and a single place that parents can go to see what's happening in their students' classes.
Elementary students will continue the same seesaw system they used earlier this year, while the middle school and high school will switch to a system called Canvas. You can find links to this week and next week's Zoom meetings on the district's website. Well, turning to coronavirus numbers now, the Oregon Health Authority reports 267 new confirmed and presumptive cases and 1 new death. Oregon has seen more than 20,200 cases and has 339 deaths. Multnomah County remains with the highest number of cases, totaling 43 since the pandemic started. Well, nationwide, we're looking at 4.8 million cases and nearly 160,000 deaths in the United States since the pandemic started. Dr. Anthony Fauci says the recent rise in the percentage of positive coronavirus tests is a clear indication the virus is still spreading. He says this could be a sign of more trouble to come.
Masks, social distancing, avoiding crowds, outdoors greater than indoors, washing hands, etc. Those kind of simple things can actually prevent that uptick from becoming a surge.
Dr. Fauci says test positivity rates can give early indication a surge in daily case counts will come if nothing is done. He says a single percentage point increase is a, quote, pretty good predictor. Well, the latest Conestoga hut community for the homeless is going up on the land near the Willamette River in Eugene. NBC 16's Tom Adams joins us tonight on this important piece of the puzzle in the battle against homelessness. Tom.
Well, Jacqueline, rising from the property at the west end of Skinner Butte Park is the newest Safe Spot cluster of huts being built by the group called Community Supported Shelters. We're talking about temporary housing units to give motivated homeless people a chance to find more permanent housing.
She's been a hut crew volunteer for just 1 year, but for Eugene resident Jack Hoffman, this work has become a calling.
This is just reminding them that we care and that we're going to do something about it.
The cause is helping homeless residents find a way off the streets and toward more permanent housing opportunities. This is the newest Conestoga hut project from the group Community Supported Shelters.
This is actually sanctioned and the huts were purchased by Eugene Police Department, and so we are constructing them.
These are the first new huts that are being built on this lot. And Schmidt tells me it's the 5th hut community in the CSS network. He adds, don't confuse these with the slightly larger, tiny houses.
The tiny homes are a different concept than what we do. What we do is temporary shelter for immediate need.
We're talking just 60 square feet of space, but these units are intended to be a bridge between living on the street and getting one's life in order.
Give them a little bit of a helping hand. People who have fallen on difficult times, that's all we're doing.
The volunteers can erect a hut in about 2 hours. For Jack Hoffman, it's a chance to make the homeless feel like they are cared for.
To help them feel like they belong, that they have dignity, that we respect them, that's paramount.
The crews this week built huts number 138 and 139 for community-supported shelters.
The city manager's office reports materials for the 2 huts built this week have been funded by the Eugene PD's Downtown Community Outreach and Response Team. Now, that program is a joint effort by the Downtown Police Team and Whitebird. Jacqueline?
All right, Tom, giving people hope for the future. Thank you. Well, an elderly homeless woman is now off the street thanks to the help of the community. A social media post circulated about an elderly Coos Bay woman shown in a wheelchair in a homeless tent shelter at United Methodist Church. The woman was being assisted by the Devereaux Center, but they had a hard time finding housing for her. Now, because of one post, a community member stepped in to help.
The lady that has apparently read this story, whoever put it out there, has accepted me into her home with a bed, with warm showering, food.
She says she is grateful for the support she has received and hopes those in a situation like hers know there are caring people in the community that will help. The Devereaux Center says without the resources to house someone, they do the best they can to provide items for shelters. But right now, they need more help addressing the problem.
Every single agency that was involved in this is doing the very, very best they can with what we have. We need more people to volunteer. We need more people to donate financially.
The community resource officer for Coos Bay, meantime, wants people to know when someone is in a vulnerable situation like this, they are there to help. Coming up on your only local news at 5:30, President Trump is being blocked from Facebook and Twitter after a comment he made about kids and COVID. The details.